Good morning, everybody. It is showtime. Let's do this. We got a really interesting show for you today. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Fill your cups, grab your pen and paper so we can have a roundtable at the end of the show. Let's do this. Good morning, everybody. It is Sunday. What a beautiful day. I tell you, I love rainy days. It is rainy and cloudy and thundering. I love that weather. I really love that weather. And it's St. Patty's Day. Greg Watkins says, Happy St. Patty's Day, Mrs. Texas Paul. Happy St. Patty's Day to you, even though you didn't say it to me. You're sorry. No, I'm just kidding. It is a good day. It is a good day. We got some interesting stuff going on this morning, and my green, that's right. Let's do this, Tara. Ready? Let's do this. Happy St. Patty's Day, everybody. I hope you partake. I hope you enjoy. I'm a little bit of a sad panda. I wanted to do St. Patrick's Day up in Chicago this year. I did. I really did. I wanted to head up there for the dyeing of the river and all that good stuff, but we just didn't make it. Didn't work out. But maybe next year. We'll do it next year. Hey, maybe we'll do a meetup next year in Chicago. Get some pizzas, drink a few beers, celebrating. Anyways, I'm getting off on the track. We got an interesting show for you today. My green St. Patty's Day shirt also doubles as my talking about porn shirt. Everybody needs a talking about porn shirt. We have an interesting development here in the state of Texas. You remember we did the show about the Middle East, and I was telling you people, we really need to get to that point where we accept the fact that there are just some situations where there are no good guys. That's one of these situations. PornHub left Texas. And I really don't care. I'll be honest with you, except for the problem. Here's the deal. Cliff's notes on what's going on with PornHub. PornHub is the most popular porn site in the world. That's where people go to watch their particular porn, whatever your kink happens to be. There you go. It's legal and whatnot. But PornHub has a problem. PornHub is easily accessible online, which means kids watch it. And you don't want kids watching porn. It creates unreasonable life expectations. It really does. It's a problem. You don't want kids watching porn. Well, if Democrats ran the country, this would be an easy fix. You just, get some age verification going on. But PornHub doesn't want to do that. And damn it, they have a point. They have a point because of this guy. Evil Popeye, Ken Paxton. See, PornHub doesn't want to do what Ken Paxton wants them to do. Yeah, exactly. Everybody's already gotten it. I love you folks. So far ahead of the damn conversation all the time. Maura Chapman, half of Texas left for VPN. Yeah. Here's the thing. The age verifications don't work. They don't. You can fake IDs. You can fake your IP. Even if the state of Texas demands that there be age verifications, you can just go to a proxy network, which is what a VPN is, mask your IP address and access it that way. And Pornhub's argument is twofold. One, it doesn't work. You're making me do things that don't work, and you're forcing people to go through extra hoops for something that doesn't fix the problem. We're not doing it. The second argument, which is for me a much more valid argument, is because you can fake IDs, and the law that was written here in Texas that Ken Paxton is using for the basis of his lawsuits is so vague. You're essentially forcing people to tie their porn accounts to public databases. See, where this is actually going is, we use the Real ID here in Texas. That's the nationalized ID standard. And we have a database here. And in order to get around the fake ID thing, there's really only one way to do it, and that is to have the website access your public ID information, tying those two things together. Your personal private porn kink is now tied to your Texas driver's license. Which takes a big giant dump all over your privacy, because the people here in Texas, the Republicans here in Texas, aren't known for their self-control or respect for the law or the respect for people's privacy. Just some of the greatest hits here from Ken Paxton, before we even talk about the fact that he had a mistress down in San Antonio, that he had one of his donors move to Austin because he got tired of driving down from Austin to San Antonio to get his freak on. That moral failure, in which, by the way, people talk about his wife, Angela, like she's some babe in the woods. She is not. She is not. They are thick as thieves. She knows about the mistress. No, they are a gross political couple that are just gross. They just are. I don't give her a pass at all. She's not a victim in this situation. She's a participant. But again, talking about Angela here, you had this situation where, Ken Paxton likes to sue everybody to get their information, donor information, all this other crap that he does here in the state of Texas. But he doesn't handle it very well when it goes the other direction. We had an advocate group here and a women's rights advocate group sue him to get information about who was funding some of his lawsuits. And well, instead of doing what you would expect an attorney general to do, which is just handle the lawsuit. I mean, it's not like the state of Texas isn't going to pay for it. No, he hid in his house from the process server. Made the process server sit outside for over an hour until a black SUV pulls up in his garage. His wife runs out, jumps in the driver's seat. Like I told you, they're thick as thieves, and kicks the passenger door open. Ken Paxton tries to come out and get in the process server, meets him at the door. Here, he turns around and runs back in the house, hides in the house for a while longer. They sit there until the process server kind of moves down the driveway a little bit. And then Ken Paxton comes running back out because, Angela Paxton dives into the passenger seat, and they take off hauling ass down the block so that they can't be served. And the process server, which is so stupid about this, because the process server doesn't have to hand you the service notification. They can literally drop it at your feet. And that's what the process server did, was just walked up to the car when Ken Paxton slammed the door, said, "You have been served," and dropped the service in his driveway and walked off. That's Ken Paxton, And this is Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton suing a Seattle hospital to get the private medical records of patients because he suspects a Texan went to this hospital to get transgender care. And it's always about protecting the children, protecting the children. We need to get your private medical information to protect the children. He is a creep. Exactly. He's a creep. And that's the other side of this that Pornhub is arguing, and it's a valid argument. It's a valid argument because Ken Paxton has no self-control. He's got no fealty to the law at all. This was just huge news. Ken Paxton loses in court. Judge says, hey, get the hell out of this woman's personal business. You had a woman seeking an abortion in a case where it was medically necessary. Ken Paxton sues to stop it because, he knows better. He knows better than the doctors. He knows better than everybody. And we're going to talk about why here in just a minute. But he threatens to jail the doctors. And this is the person that Pornhub is looking at saying, hey, we're not really comfortable with tying our database to your database. We're just not. Which is a problem, folks, because this should be an easy fix. I mean, there is a problem. Kids are watching porn online. The age verifications don't work. Asking somebody, hey, are you over 18? Click the box. That's not age verification. Everybody knows it. But fixing it means you have to have some faith in your government that they will not abuse the information. And in my state of Texas, abuses people's private personal information. They have shown us over and over again. And if you don't believe that, please, by all means, ask Kate Cox. What Evil Popeye, Greg Abbott, and the state of Texas is willing to do with your personal private information. Now, I think it would just be a better place if we all just advertised what our porn kinks were, but, not everybody's as bold as me. That would solve this problem. We could just do the age verification. It wouldn't be a big deal, but damn well they're going to abuse that information. They are going to abuse that information. And what this really boils down to is Ken Paxton doesn't work for me. He doesn't work for the people of the state of Texas. We've got a couple billionaires in this state that have bought the government. They've just flat out bought the government. These are the people that Ken Paxton works for. This is Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilks. They are two Texas billionaires, oil billionaires. The problem with Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilks is they fancy themselves as pastors. No, really. They're pastors. They've got this perverted, weird idea that they're billionaires because of God. And that my state should be their church. Really. I mean, all of this school vouchers so that we can take state and federal money and funnel it into religious schools, that's Tim Dunn. Yeah, he funds all of that. He just lost big time. The people of the state of Texas told him he can take his vouchers, roll them up in a tight little ball, and shove them up his middling ass. But, he's not done. I mean, they don't quit. Religious zealots don't quit. Tim Dunn here is definitely 100% still trying to end our public education system as we know it and what he wants to do is he wants to give wealthy people tax credits. That's it. That's what he wants to do, because school vouchers don't pay for private school. And over half the country can't afford private school. What he wants to do is he wants to take people that are already sending their kids to these religious indoctrination schools and give them a tax credit. That's what the vouchers are. And he believes he knows best. His beliefs, his religious ideas are what my state should be. And I got to tell you, this guy, there is nothing like him anywhere else in the country. The amount of money he is willing to spend on his religious zealotry is off the hook. And he doesn't hold a candle to Ferris Wilks. Because Ferris Wilks, man, it just gets weird. It just gets weird with Ferris Wilks. He is Seventh-day Adventist, which you can't paint them with a broad brush. You just can't. But when you look at like really weird cults and really weird, funky religions, like we had we call them radars around here, and the Radio Church of God. I mean, just when you go out and you find one of those churches that just make you uncomfortable, chances are it's a Seventh-day Adventist church. I mean, they are really splintered off. You can't, like I said, you can't paint them all with a broad brush. They're different. But the facts that are so decentralized, and you can just run off and do your crazy old whatever, snake handling, kiss rattlesnakes, do whatever you want to do. It always tends to be Seventh-day Adventist. Well, his church is no different. I mean, the women don't speak in his church. And he considers himself a pastor, a man of God, because he started out dirt poor, him and his brother. They were bricklayers, and when they scraped together a little bit of money and got into the oil business and got into fracking when it first came out, and boom, next thing you know, they're billionaires. And he thinks God did it all. God did it all. God made him a billionaire. So we all got to, we'll all be better off if we're just worshiping his God. And the Republicans have no morals, no beliefs, there's nothing that a Republican, there's no firm ground that they stand on. They claim to be about the Constitution forever. And then the second that their donors start wanting them to shred the Constitution and turn our states, my state is their church now. Republicans are cool with it. Checks don't bounce. That's the problem, folks. That's the problem. In a nutshell. It's not that we can't fix this problem. It's, again, we can't fix the problem because of Republicans and their abusiveness and the fact that they have no character, no morals, no spine, no beliefs that they actually believe in. Here's interweb surfer channel. Wilks is an SDA pastor. Yeah. Feel free to chat with her about her stories. I'm telling you, it's out there, and they're successfully turning my state into their freakism. I mean, so far that a woman has to literally be dying before they'll perform an abortion. And I will tell you, The momentum is not moving the right direction, folks. It will be soon that women in Texas will die because they will not perform the abortion. You will die of sepsis. You will die before these religious freaks are done. It's that simple. But speaking of crazy, got another subject that we got to talk about. Oh, Nancy Mace went on This Week with George Stephanopoulos. Oh, God. A show I don't watch with people I don't follow. But we got to talk about it, folks, because, you know, Nancy Mace is hurting people. George Stephanopoulos asked her a very valid question. See, Nancy Mace has repeatedly shared her story of sexual assault. She was sexually assaulted at 16. She was raped at 16. He asked her, how can someone who has, you know, you've publicly discussed what you've gone through, how can you support a candidate for president that has been adjudicated to have followed a woman into a Bergdorf, I'm adding to the question here, followed a woman into the Bergdorf Goodman dressing rooms, slammed her against the wall, shoved his tongue in her mouth, and his hand up her dress and into her vagina? This is not a question. This has been legally adjudicated that he did this, that he speaks of doing this. He says, you know, hey, women just let you when you're rich. How can you support that candidate? Square that for us. And she has been running around, was it 4 days now, 5 days now? I can't keep track of it all. Ren, appreciate the support, my man. I do. Or ma'am, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a fair question. It is a fair question. When you have publicly talked about sexual assault repeatedly in your political campaigns and whatnot, you've made that an issue yourself. How can you then square that with supporting Donald Trump? And she has been running around for days screaming that she's being rape shamed. Well, nobody's rape shaming her at all. If anything, she's shaming herself. This is Nancy Mace. She was engaged to Patrick Bennett. And as you can tell, this was weird. This is her fiance. Was her fiance. Yeah, he's got money. He's a technology executive. They founded a software company out of Charlotte. Well, she had a very public breakup with him. And she goes on Fox News and tells the world about it. If you're going to do that, if you're going to do stuff like that, it's really hard to respect your privacy. I mean, that door swings both ways. You can't go on Fox News and air all your dirty laundry and then complain that people are airing your dirty laundry. It just doesn't work that way. Thanks for the support, Katie. I appreciate you. And wasn't just there. I mean, she does radical, crazy stuff. She's one of those conspiracy theorists. Talked about Joe Biden being involved in a prostitution ring there for a while. That didn't get off the ground, so she quit talking about it. I mean, just making up conspiracy theories all the time. And then this is her walking around the Capitol building after the McCarthy vote. She got a political backlash because she was part of that little cabal that took down Kevin McCarthy. And a lot of people didn't really dig that in the Republican Party. So she walks around with a scarlet A on, a red A, which just tells me she's never read the scarlet letter. It's pretty damn weird that she's doing that. Because it doesn't fit. I don't even know how to tie that together. There's no, other than she just constantly makes herself a victim. Just constantly makes herself a victim. And that's the problem, folks. That's the problem. Because rape shaming is a thing. It's a thing. It's a real thing that women really do endure. And that's not what this is. And sitting there trying to claim that victimhood, it doesn't do anything but hurt women that this is actually happening to. It demeans the word. And Nancy Mace isn't worth it. She's nuts. She really is. I mean, her staff, almost her entire staff in D.C. resigned en masse at once because of what a horrible human being she is. And that's a really big deal, folks. I mean, you have staffs that stay through craziness. I mean, the worst scandals, the staffs don't resign. They stick around. They resigned and they're like, she's nuts. She thinks she owns us. I mean, day, night, middle of the night, she thinks we're her servants. And they folks, I cannot stress to you what it takes for an entire Republican staff to resign how bad you have to be. And here she is demeaning women that are actually rape shamed because she doesn't want to deal with the fact that she is a political windsock and a horrible human being that's more than willing to support a predator, even though she claims victim status all the time. And it's a problem. It's a problem. Every time she says she's been rape shamed over a perfectly legitimate question. And I'll check myself. You people, I love and respect you people. You tell me, am I calling this wrong? Because I see that as a perfectly legitimate question. When you make your identity about, hey, I was raped when I was 16, and you tell that story repeatedly, then you turn around and you support Donald Trump, a guy that brags about sexually assaulting people, a guy that was legally adjudicated to have sexually assaulted a woman, and a Bergdorf Goodman, just followed her right into the what was he doing creeping in the Bergdorf Goodman lingerie section anyways? And then he defames his victim, and then you as a sexual assault victim are going to support that? And then you're going to demean what rape shaming means. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Again, it's Republicans dragging us down. And I know you folks, a lot of you folks are good Christian people. You believe in your church and you do your church thing, this, that, and the other, and it pisses you off when I talk about the churches and what's going on here in Texas is as these sons of bitches are trying to turn my state into their church. I mean, again, Republicans doing this disgusting. Tell me a point in history when humans went down this road where we empowered the churches that was a great moment in our history as a species. I'll save you the time. There isn't one. There's no golden time in our evolution where we became utterly, empowering to our churches that it didn't end badly. It always ends badly. Always. When you mix power, politics, and churches, it always ends badly. There's never been a golden time. And these Republicans are all in, dyed in the wool, use the churches, because they've got two subsets of voters left that are hardcore Republican, evangelicals and bigot racists. And it defines everything they're doing. Look at everything the Republican Party is doing. It's designed to pander to two people, bigot racists or evangelicals. And we have to endure that as a country. They're trying to drag us backwards. That's what we're looking at in this next election, folks, is that choice. We're either going to move forward and move our society into one of those, already President Biden's doing an amazing job with the economy and things are looking great. But we can have one of those epic times in human history. Think about the moon shot. Think about those times. We can have one of those moments again, or we can, go back to the Inquisition. I mean, we're already at the point where women in Texas are having to sit in a parking lot, bleeding out and dying until they're almost dead to get medical care. I mean, we're already there, and we're heading down that road. Ferris Wilks and Tim Dunn are not done. They're not done. They want to keep on keeping on with this religious zealotry. But anyways, we've got more to talk about. Oh, Donald Trump. Remember I told you he had the last show, he had the Ohio rally that he was going to do for old Bernie Moreno. Well, yeah. Sorry, Bernie. They shoved Bernie Moreno on the back shelf. There was one sign in the entire audience that mentioned Bernie Moreno's name. He spoke briefly, just for a couple of minutes. They brought him out and they shoved him all. None of the merch vendors were selling any Bernie Moreno merch. So yeah, this whole we've got to support Bernie Moreno because he's going to take down Sherrod Brown. That gone. If you don't know what that's all about, go watch our last show. But this happened. So it was interesting.
Under Biden, the cost of rent is up 30%. Groceries are up 30%. Everything is up. Chicken's up. Bread is up. And I can't read this damn teleprompter.
The wind's blowing, moving the teleprompter so you can't read.
This sucker is moving around.
Goes on to say, don't pay them. Don't pay the teleprompter people, like he was going to pay them anyways. It's just testimony to how pudding-brained the guy is. He does the same shtick at every rally. The same shtick at every rally. And he needs a teleprompter. Folks, I speak for an hour to hour and a half, 3 days a week on different subjects. I don't even use cue cards. And this pudding brain guy, thanks for the support. I really appreciate you. I really do. This pudding brain guy goes completely off the rails because he loses his teleprompter. And his people were freaking out. You could see they were freaking out. They really wanted that teleprompter working because when Trump has no guidance, it is going to go off the rails. It is just going to go off the rails.
Kareem Lanier and J.R. Majewski. Now, J.R., they hit J.R. very hard, I have to tell you. These are friends of mine. J.R. was a hero and is a hero, and they hit him very hard with false stuff that he wasn't a hero. And after the election, they found out he was. And on behalf of our country, I'd like to apologize to J.R. Majewski because you were treated very unfairly. So
his staff was freaking the hell out when he started talking about J.R. Majewski. J.R. Majewski, this is J.R. Majewski, by the way, has been a two-time Republican congressional candidate. This is J.R. Majewski. He had to pull out of the race this cycle. He had to pull out of the race because J.R. Majewski pulled a Katie Britt. Katie Britt was talking about, in her State of the Union response, just made up a bunch of shit. I guess she thought nobody would check. Well, J.R. Majewski just made up a resume. And I mean, he would tell detailed stories about his service in Afghanistan. While he was serving in Afghanistan, talked about how there were water issues and he didn't get to shower for 40 days. I mean, he was telling detailed stories about his service in Afghanistan that never happened. He was in the Air Force. We have your service records are attainable. You moron. We know where you served. He did 6 months in Qatar, loading airplanes, loading pallets on airplane. That's what he did. But he's telling these bullshit, stories about his all of his, how much he sacrificed for the country and all this other. And that's what Donald Trump is talking about. They said he wasn't a hero, but they found out after the election he was a hero. No, he wasn't. And he lied about his service record. That's why he had to step out of the race. That and he compounded it because when they started to talk about it, he denied it and then attacked Democrats that were talking about it, saying, and he said, and this is paraphrasing what he said here, pretty damn close to an exact quote. Talking to Democrats is like the Special Olympics. Even when you do great, you're still a fucking retard. Yeah, that piece of shit. Had to step out of the race. And that's the guy that Trump is touting as a hero And that's why his handlers, Trump's handlers, were like, "Oh my freaking God!" And he just went on and on talking about how if he's not reelected, the country is going to be a bloodbath. Here we go again. Here we go again. You know, Trump openly calling for violence, but, you know, we're going to act like it's normal. And then he went off and started talking about COVID. I got a little bit here for you from, you know, I don't hate listening to the guys like nails on a chalkboard, so I only got a couple of these clips for you.
We did a great job with some unknown disease at the time. Nobody knew what the hell it was. And what we did was a miracle, and we led the world. And when I left office, our stock market was higher than it was just prior to COVID coming in, which is a tremendous achievement. We would have gone down the tubes. That would have been in 1929. And speaking of 1929, there are some brilliant Wall Street analysts like Scott and some others, but a brilliant, very brilliant.
This is where he claims that all the records we're setting in the stock market are him, because of him. The man has pudding for brains. Pudding for brains. He does. And right now, I have to tell you, Elise Stefanik just really stepped in it. She put out a thing where she said, "I want to know from all of you people, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?" And people have been answering that question, that resoundingly, yes, we are much better off than we were 4 years ago. But it turns out they had a strategy. They're going to try to rewrite COVID. Not even kidding. Trump didn't tell us to inject bleach. That was a huge one that is going around, because I started answering Elise Stefanik on my social media platform, different social media platforms, and the trolls were responding. And you can always tell what the Republican talking points are by what the troll farms put out. And you can tell they're troll farms, folks. They all come at one time, and they come in like 1 hour increments, 1 hour apart. You'll get like 40 or 50 of them at one time that slip into your comments section. So you know it's troll farms. You know what their talking points are. The talking points are really simple. Trump never said to inject bleach. He never did any of that. Trump solved everything with COVID and did an amazing job with COVID, and that everything you saw was a lie and was fictional. And yes, hydroxychloroquine, they were keeping hydroxychloroquine from you. That's what, although Trump was in charge at the time, but somehow we Democrats were keeping hydroxychloroquine from you, and that ivermectin really worked. No, really, they're saying this. Ivermectin really worked, even though there is now a syndrome for people that took ivermectin. They so damaged their digestive systems. I mean, they literally crapped out the linings of their digestive systems, because, you know, when you go to a feed store and you get horse paste, or ivermectin that's for cattle, it is dosed for a 1,000-pound animal. You are not 1,000 pounds on a bad day. So they destroyed their digestive system. There's an actual syndrome they're treating now because of this. And they're actually, let me stay with me for 1 second. Stay with me for 1 second. I didn't pull this image up, but I want you to see this image, because this is the other one. Colloidal silver. Colloidal silver is another one. This is something else that we're dealing with, because these people went out and took colloidal silver to treat COVID. It's one of those things that you could, or yeah, we're going to Papa Smurf. But it's not just him. It's not just this guy. This is what colloidal silver does to you when it poisons you, because these asshats had no idea what a proper dosage is. It is nasty stuff. It is literally toxic to your body. It will poison you. Once it does this, baby, there's no going back. They can't leach that back out of your skin. And I invite you, please, Google it after the show. Colloidal silver. And don't even worry about the spelling. You can misspell it. It will pull up because there are still hucksters selling it. No, he's not dead. He's not dead, but he will be blue the rest of his life. And it's not just him. There are people in varying shades. There are people that didn't turn into Papa frickin' Smurf that realized maybe it's the colloidal silver I'm taking that's turning me into. So they've got blue patches on their faces. By all means, please Google it after the show. ET says, as a veteran, I strongly dislike anyone who steals the valor of actual servicemen and women who do go through those things. Yeah, absolutely. That's why J.R. Majewski had to step down. Thank you for the support, Kevin. I really appreciate you. You make this possible. But yeah. And I want to touch on the troll thing for just, we're going to divert the show for just, this wasn't part of the show, but I want to talk about this. The troll thing, as I was mentioning to you. You know what their tactics are going to be. They're rewriting COVID. They're pretending everything we went through with COVID didn't happen. And that Donald Trump didn't take President Obama's playbook and throw it out the window. We had an entire process that the government had put together to say, this is what you do when this happens, because this is what's going to happen. One of the things was you need to make sure you have more vials and needles than you would regularly need because you're going to do an emergency vaccination. But they threw the book away, so they didn't know that that the pharmaceutical industry is going to need excess vials and needles. But you don't know which pharmaceutical company is going to create the vaccine that you need. So you, as the government, need to make sure that those stocks are available and assist whichever company comes up with a vaccine in getting the inventory they need so that they can actually distribute that vaccine. Trump had none of that. None of it. None of it. Operation Warp Speed, great. 3 pharmaceutical companies came up with vaccines. They couldn't distribute it. They couldn't inject it. We had huge storage problems because the only bottles they could get in any mass were the big, frickin' massive bottles. So they had to take and store those in cold storage so they could take out individual doses instead of the smaller bottles, which Joe Biden, when he got into office, that's one of the first things that they went after. The other thing was storage containers. We were shipping PPE all over the world to places that didn't normally have a lot of activities, economic activity, because there were people there. They needed PPE immediately. So those storage containers that PPE was shipped in went to places where they didn't come back because there wasn't the economic activity to fill the storage containers and send them back. So when we were coming out of COVID, again, it was in the playbook. Your distribution systems are going to need help from the government. You may actually have to pay for ships to Deadhead to just pick up empty containers. Shipping went from $3,000 per container to $25,000 per container. Joe Biden fixed this. Joe Biden fixed this. Just one thing after another. They're trying to rewrite history, folks. That is their plan. They're going to rewrite history. But let's go on. Trump is at his rally, just losing it. And folks, when I tell you it's the same shtick every damn time, it's the same shtick every damn time. And he couldn't pull it off.
Give one penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate.
One more time.
And I will not give one penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate.
Every rally, he says that. Every rally. We've got measles outbreaks going on, folks. And that's a big effing deal because it's just a little refresher. Vaccines aren't condoms. Vaccines are not prophylactics. They are not condoms. A vaccine doesn't keep you from exposure and infection from a vaccine. A vaccine is a Sunday school teacher. It teaches your immune system how to react so that your body kills whatever is infecting you quickly so you do not spread it, because viral load is important as to how fast something spreads. Measles is incredibly infectious. Incredibly infectious. And yes, you can be vaccinated and still get measles, just like every other thing that we vaccinate for. You could still catch the disease, but your body knows how to fight it off. That's all a vaccine is training for your immune system. Just like the military trains safely in safe ways so that they know how to react in combat, that's what a vaccine is. It's combat training for your immune system. Well, because of Trump and all the anti-vaccine stuff that we saw, because Trump failed miserably at COVID and he was taking a beating politically, so it all had to be made up just to get Trump. It just all had to be made up just to get Trump. Vaccines are just made up. You don't need no vaccine. Trump ain't failing. It's all big pharma trying to put the chip in you so they can control your mind. And all the other crazy freaking nutball stuff. It came out. It all came back out. When I was posting about, yes, we are better off now than we were 4 years ago, reminding people of what was going on with COVID, all the conspiracies came back out. All of them. But we've got a measles outbreak right now, folks. And a huge number of Floridians and Texans and all across the Bible Belt, people that, because they love Trump and hate them vaccines. I love the people that they actually think it's a cut down. They've made memes that say, "You sound vaccinated." Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I am vaccinated. Bet you got the booster. Yeah. Yeah, I do every 6 months. I do. I get the booster religiously. So yeah, there's that. But that is what they're doing. We have nutball craziness. That's what they're trying. That's the decision you have to make, folks. You got the nutballs that still believe in sucking down horse paste and that it was all a lie. It really helped. It saved lives, even though these people shit their intestinal linings out and now have to undergo lifelong treatment. Or you have people that had colloidal silver poisoning to the point that we had to try to leach it out of their bodies, who have now had their lives cut short because Folks, I got to tell you, lead poisoning, any kind of metal poisoning is really freaking hard on your body, not just because of the poisoning that's killing you and destroying your organs, but to leach it out of your body. There is nothing that just goes after one particular mineral. It's really freaking hard on your body when they have to try to pull metals out of your body to save your life. You're giving up 10, 20 years of your life. Yeah, me too. Witchy Poo Broken Broom says, I'm 60 years old and flabbergasted by MAGA extremists. And it's all coming back out, folks. That God bless Elise Stefanik for asking that question, for thinking that was a smart political move. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Well, hell yes. Hell yes, I am. Hell yes, I am. And folks, I absolutely love it. But Joe Biden, just to contrast, Joe Biden went to the gridiron dinner. Joe Biden went to the gridiron dinner and gave a speech. And the gridiron dinner is like the White House Press Association dinner, where they have, but there's no cameras. The Gridiron Club, the Gridiron Club is a who's who. These are the important people in the corporate media. They get together and they have a club called the Gridiron Club. You're talking about, everybody that runs their DC bureaus are in the Gridiron Club, and all of your New York bureau chiefs and your major executives and owners are all in there's less than 100 people in the Gridiron Club. This is an exclusive club for the press. They hold a dinner every year. Juanita Mingle says, and the ASAT pulled all of the researcher teams out we had placed in other countries to be on top of an epidemic or pandemic before it came to the U.S. Thought they were a waste of money. Exactly. He did. That is 100% the truth. Anything Obama did had to end. That was the goal. That was the whole thing. Anything Obama did had to end. But, yeah, Biden was speaking at the Gridiron Club, and there's no footage of it because, like I said, they don't televise the Gridiron dinner. But he was killing it after sitting there listening to jokes about his age and all the other stuff. You could imagine, he stood up and started with this one-liner. One candidate is too old and mentally unfit to be president. The other is me. And he was delivered a bunch of one-liners about the video that I've played for you before about Trump not being able to recognize his wife. And Trump thinks he's running against Obama. They showed some clips of Trump saying about he's running against Obama. And Joe Biden leans into the mic like he does. You've seen him do it before. Nobody tell him. Nobody tell him. But yeah. And it was good fun. He poked fun at himself too. He talked about a State of the Union address. Joe Biden was, talking about how, even the press, even you guys have to admit, I killed it at the State of the Union. He said, but I'll be fair, to be humbled, be fair. The expectations were not really high. All I really had to do was show up and remember who the president was. What? Oh, I'm the president? Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, compare that with the hatefulness, the nastiness that comes out of these Trump rallies, the visions for the future. You've got one president that is sitting here saying, look, we are going to fund cancer research. We're at the point now where we actually have cancer vaccines in testing. Rosanna, I appreciate the support. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. But that's really happening, folks. It really is. They've come up with cancer treatments now that are in testing where they have actually cured people with extreme stage 4 cancer. They've created viruses. They've holed out viruses. They reprogram them and train those viruses to attack cancer cells. President Carter underwent this treatment. It bought him 10 years on his life. And it's really happening, folks. And you've got one president working to fund that, that's saying, hey, we're gonna cure cancer in our lifetime. And you've got another president, we're not gonna fund no school, make you wear that mask and get them vaccines. No, sir. No, sir. We're not going to do them vaccines. That's your vote, folks. Crystal Water says, we are the United States of America. We can do it all. That's that American exceptionalism from our European audience and Canadian audience. We really believe that shit, man. We really do. That's why we do some crazy, amazing shit because we're too stupid to know we can't. That's just the way we are. We will look at cancer that's been killing people for forever and say, we can fix that, and believe it, and then do it. That's the U.S., man. That's the U.S. That's the good side of that whole American arrogance that you folks in Canada see. And I know it pisses you off because we walk around the world like we own the freaking place. But yeah, that's the good side of it. We actually believe we can do this shit. So we just do it. We just do it. Rosanna, again, thanks for the support. She says, yes, we will. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. But that's the difference between the two presidents that we're looking at, the former president and the current president. You got one that just all he wants to do is mass deportations. You got another president that says, let's fix the border. Let's fix the immigration process. Let's hire judges and let's put scanners down there. Let's utilize technology. And then you got another president that says, let's build one of them 1300s era walls. And I'll make some other people pay for it. Don't you worry about it. I know it'll cost a lot, but we'll make it. We won't waste no money, but then they waste money. And that's your vote, folks. That's your folks. That's your vote. I mean, Benaloco said, my husband died of Agent Orange cancer. He didn't die in vain. No, he didn't. He didn't. He did not. Everything that we've learned. Folks, just to take another left turn here to wrap this up. The last thing I want to leave you with is this. Peter Campbell says, even better, we invite people from around the world to come to our research colleges to put all our best people on it. Exactly. That, again, great way to draw comparisons there, Peter, between the two. You got one people them brown people. Then you've got Democrats who are like, them smart people. Yeah, let's bring in them smart people. Come to America. We're mutts. We've got no national identity. Everybody's welcome. Come on. But let me tell you about this vaccine this cancer treatment that they've got. It's amazing, folks. It is amazing. They've taken viruses, hulled them out, reprogrammed them. And now those viruses attack cancer cells. And what they're doing, they're fine-tuning them now, because like any virus, I appreciate the support, folks. Barbara, I really appreciate the support. Like with any virus, your body reacts to it. Your body doesn't dig it. because those are your body's cancer cells and your body wants to protect them. That's what makes cancer so bad. So just like with any other viral disease, your body reacts to it as though it's a viral infection, because it is, even though it's really helping you. So imagine the worst case of the flu you could ever imagine. I appreciate you, Rich. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. I think about you every time I look at the cup back there. That's what your body reacts to. So now they're trying to fine tune it. So, it's as aggressive enough to save somebody with stage 4 cancer's life, but not so aggressive that it kills somebody that's weakened from having stage 4 cancer. That's where we're at, folks. I mean, we're that close. We're that close. And, we've got an election coming up. And one side believes in doing this. They believe in, hey, you know what? If somebody's really freaking smart and can get the grades, let's educate them. Let's not kick people out of the system that are really freaking smart just because they can't pay exorbitant college tuitions. Let's utilize those people's contributions to society because they help us all. That's one side. And the other side is, damn it, I paid my student loans. You can pay yours. Even if some really smart people can't get the student freaking loan to pay for their college. No, they can't afford the student loan. Brian, I appreciate the support. So yeah, I just want to end this by saying thank you, Elise Stefanik, for asking that question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Hell yes. Hell yes. We are better off now than we were 4 years ago. And look at every single issue. Even the border. People are like, oh, the border, the Republicans. No, please, let's talk about the border. Yes, let's talk about what Democrats want to do versus what Republicans want to do. Let's have that conversation. I'm up for that. You got Greg Abbott that pulled a stunt, back in April of last year where he stopped April a couple of years ago, he stopped every truck coming across the border to search each individual truck because he had no vision and no understanding that would, that you could not do that. I say that he actually knew. I believe he actually knew that was just going to be, if you shut down America's largest land port down in Laredo, Texas, that you're going to cripple the economy. They did it on purpose. I believe they did it on purpose. You've got that versus, hey, I got an idea. Let's expand the lanes at the border and put in backscatter radar and sniffing devices so that we can search these trucks quickly and efficiently and everything will work better. Yeah, let's have that. Let's have that conversation. I'm up for that. So anyways, folks, that's what I have for you today. If you've got any questions, if you'd like to do a roundtable, we can. More than happy to do it. It is Sunday. We've got all the time in the world. Victoria says, Midas member, wake them up, Paul. They are the woke they dislike. Nova Scotia in the house. Nova Scotia in the house. Do you know why Canadians don't have nuclear weapons? Because they have Canadians. They don't need them. So what are we going to talk about now? Any questions on what we talked about? Any other questions about what's going on? Throw it out there. This is your part of the show, folks. Any questions you have, throw them out there. Protest votes in Russia. Yeah, I watching very closely what's going on in Russia to see, we've had the incursions by the Russian units into Russia. I'm kind of curious how that's going to affect the votes coming out of Russia and how brave people are willing to be. In Ukraine right now, that they're voting at gunpoint. In the Russian-controlled regions, they're forcing Ukrainians to vote for Putin at gunpoint. They go to everybody's individual house with a ballot and sit there and make them fill it out at gunpoint. And it's women. It's women. Overwhelmingly, the person that carries the big stack of ballots that goes and knocks on everybody's door is a woman. It just amazes me. It amazes me that what Russian women will do. It really does. It just amazes me. But then again, I look at Republican women and I understand. Yeah, I get it. But yeah, I am keeping track of what's going on in the incursion in Belgorod and Kursk. Kursk there have been quite a few large explosions in and around Kursk. It looks like that what we thought was going to happen was that the Freedom for Russia Legion was going to roll across the border, and they were just going to take a couple towns and hold it. And then they were, that's what they were going to do. Looks like they're still pushing forward. ET says, and the other side of that American arrogance is that it cannot happen here when it comes to losing our democracy. Get out the vote. Yes. Well said. Great point. Too many people are too damn comfortable. They read about things in the history books and think it cannot happen here, and it can happen here 100%. I live in Texas, folks. If you are a woman with a pregnancy that goes bad, you will be on death's door before they terminate that pregnancy. You will. Your life will be in danger. I mean, real, like we have to hospitalize you and treat you after the fact danger before you can terminate that pregnancy. That's really happening. Don't ever believe those things can't happen here, because they are happening here. Obnoxious reach a DVR, don't vote Republican. Absolutely. Give Democrats supermajorities in both houses. And don't think if you're in a red state that your vote doesn't matter. It does. Elections are not that far apart, folks. They're really not that far apart. Nancy, you don't really want me to explain the fairness doctrine, because I actually don't really believe in the fairness doctrine. I don't. A lot of people on our side do. They think that the news went south when the fairness doctrine died. That's not true. What killed the news was profit. And it doesn't matter if you reinstitute the fairness doctrine. The corporate media has figured out that they can make a profit off of news, and to make profit off of news, it's going to be some biased clickbait shit. And it doesn't matter if you institute the fairness doctrine. Profit will find a way to make it not boring and to make you pay attention. And the fairness doctrine's not going to work like it did back in the day. Terry Foster says, vote blue down ballot. When the fairness doctrine was in place, news organizations were lost leaders. They lost money. It was a service that networks provided. That's not the case anymore. It's an entirely different environment. Whodat says, Texas Paul, I heard a report that pens used at the Russian elections were erasable ink. Is there any, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know on that one. I haven't heard that one yet. Cynthia Nelson's next, they go after contraceptives and gay. They already are going after contraceptives and gay marriage. Absolutely. They already are. Thanks to Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilkes and their unlimited supplies of money, Republicans have turned my state into a radical ass church. Charlene Sanders says, hi from Kentucky. Welcome. Beautiful part of the country. If you've never been to Kentucky, you should go. It is a beautiful state. Yes, Thomas Sears, down ballot, down. This is what I'm talking about, folks. Vote. You have to vote. Even if you're in a red state, vote. You can mitigate damage, even if you don't win. Vote in those down ballot. A lot of those down ballot races are hundreds of votes. That's it. That total voting. And a lot of these down ballot races are less than 1,000 votes. Almost all of them are less than 10,000 votes. Your vote matters, especially in those down ballot races. Especially in those down ballot races. Yeah, we've got the Ohio primary this Tuesday. I'm really, really curious to see what happens with old Bernie in Ohio. Bernie Moreno, see how he Trump's guy, because the Republican Party really doesn't want the guy, because we're going to beat the dog snot out of him in the general. Coffee Cantata says, never forget Trump has promised to finish. Folks, he opens his rally by praising the people that looted, shit, and pissed on our Capitol. Every rally. Yeah. That's your vote right there. Think you can make it to the polls? Peter Campbell, proud member, ride or die. And student Texas Paul University, vote every election, every time. Yeah, absolutely. Your down ballot votes are so crucial, and Republicans figured that out a long time ago. It's time we caught up. Thanks for the support, Under Construction. I appreciate you. All right. We've got 1 minute left. Let's see some good comments. Nia Dime says, hi, great show. What did you see at the Texas border? That's this week. And I will tell you what, Greg Abbott heard I was coming. He did. They have stacked. Remember, I told you, this is just Shelby Park. It's a little poster-sized little area. It's all fiction. So they moved a bunch of fencing down there, and they're going to move probably a mile each direction. They're going to add more of this stupid barbed wire fencing. There's just stacks and stacks and stacks of it now down there in Shelby Park, where they're going to add more, because we were making fun of how stupid it is that they think that they're tough guys because it's just in this one little area. It's still going to be in one little area. Folks, it's the Texas border is like 1,280 miles or something like that. Folks, they are not. They cannot fence it. Imagine for a second that you own property on the Rio Grande River, and the state of Texas wants to put a barbed wire fence up to keep you out of your river access, your cows, your everything. No, this isn't going to make it through the courts. The landowners aren't going to put up with it. I mean, you want to go down and take a dip in the Rio Grande? You bought that land. It's your land. Will Trump supporters fight the election if they lose? Gemini's Pampered Greyhound says, will Trump supporters fight the election if they... Yes, they are already calling it rigged. Yes. And I did a social media with this cup. It wasn't rigged. You're just a loser. I did a video on social media about that very thing. Republicans see these trolls on the social media platforms and they think they're people. They aren't. They're fictional AI accounts. They don't vote. They're not going to be there to vote. But you see all of these BS accounts on like XChan, and you think they're people. Oh, everybody thinks like I do. They're as horrible as I am. Yes, there's all these people. No, they're not. It's bullshit. And they're not going to be there to vote. So you're going to lose. You're going to lose. You know, they've been injecting this trollery into the polls because they think somehow if the polls look good, it'll help them. Like they'll get momentum or something. And then every election, the polls are radically off because we Democrats are real people. We show up, we vote. Joe Biden is constantly overperforming the polls. Trump is constantly underperforming the polls. And yes, the right-wingers are going to freak out and they're going to think, oh my God, it's all in the, it was all because I saw all the people online. No, you didn't. You saw trolls. That's what you saw. You saw fake accounts. And people were posting images from inside actual troll factory. It was great. They're posting images from inside troll factories, just hundreds of phones wired in on shelves on the walls. And they were sitting, you could see that, where they were just downloading to the different accounts. And it was great. It was fantastic. Isel Sanchez, isn't Alex Smirnoff's admission in court actual election interference on 2023-2024, our current Benghazi Clinton Congress narrative? Yeah. It was election interference, 100%. 100%. He has admitted, he didn't admit it in court. He admitted it to investigators that the information, he's talking about the Russian spy that was just recently arrested for spreading misinformation, lying to the FBI and spreading misinformation about the Bidens. Yeah, that's election interference, 100%. Thanks for the support, Peter. I appreciate you. Well, look, folks, that's what I have for you today. I appreciate you being here. Enjoy your Sunday. And by all means, please enjoy some Texas Cities at night.